Good afternoon and welcome to another session of the UANA Virtual Convention. And this has been an awesome event, and I hope that everybody has learned a lot and had a great opportunity to ask questions of some of the best swimming minds in our federations. I think we need to all give a big thank you to the organizers, to Maureen, to Yvonne, to Chris, Valerie, and everybody behind the scenes who have made this such a great opportunity for all of us. I have the great honor and distinct privilege of introducing someone to you today, Thiago Vinhas, and he's worked with me for a couple of days to be able to do a good job with his name. I hope that was okay. And he is quite an interesting coach and swimmer. He has been a lifelong swimmer from youth to the masters. He has been a champion at many levels. He's been a champion at the state level. He has participated in his federation, his country's nationals in Brazil, and he is a masters world champion. So he's done it all. And most interesting that I learned as I got to know him a little better is that he considers himself as having been mentored by the pandemic and tough times. And I'd never really thought about being mentored by the pandemic and all the things we've had to learn to do in order to have great swimming in our clubs, in our federations. So without any further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Thiago and take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be here with all of you. Thank you for the organization. Thank you for the audience. Today we're going to talk a little bit on how to work, how to adapt on the things, on the situation we are living, right? And what can we take from that to move on? Okay, what's going to be used after we come back to normal situation? How can you take advantage of all of that? Okay, it feels a bit lonely to be here to talk, but I'll try to get everybody involved. Okay, to have some interaction. And so during the lecture, while we are talking, try to imagine your situation. How can you use some of the points? How can you use your facilities to get some training? Okay, I'll start sharing screen. Let's get it started. Okay, so talking about training without facilities in different situations, dryland and charter pools. A little introduction. As Michael was saying, I have bachelor degree in sports, a specialist in sports physiology and training, being an athlete since I was 2. And now I've been a coach since 20, so like almost 15 years. And as he said, I have been mentored by the pandemic. And I believe I'm not the only one, because everybody had to go through different situations. We had to learn how to work in specific situations, okay? As an athlete, I have been state champion, 4th on nationals on age group, and a master coach and athlete. I was world champion on the relays, and I have been through FINA top 10 ranking until my daughter was born. It got a little bit hard, but hopefully I'll get back next year or maybe the after one. So we're going to divide the presentation in 3 topics. First, the dryland. How can we adapt and make it the most specific possible, right? Then the tethered swimming, and how can you take advantage of backyard pools? How can you use that pool that usually we don't even remember it exists, right? You have to clean it to use during this period. And how can you use those shorter pools? Sometimes you have, I don't know, some gym with a pool, 15 meters, 25 meters, and we cannot do the same practice, the same training session But we are going to learn a few things, a few tips to adapt and keep it interesting. It's not all about, okay, let's do set 3 times 400 meters. We cannot only move that to a 12 and a half meters pool, because it's really boring to keep doing that. So how can you keep the session interesting? How can you train? And how can you get advantage? Being able to keep our body conditioning, aerobic conditioning, our strength, and maybe even improving, depending on your level, depending on your goals. Right? Moving on. Nowadays, I believe it has been said and repeated, we are living in social distance situation. So we have limited time, we have limited space, limited resource, but the only thing that cannot be limited is our creativity. Otherwise, we're not going to be able at all to do anything, because most or basically everything has to be different. So again, how can you take advantage of the orange bag you just bought? We're going to see some example how to use that and still develop our strength. Let's get it started with organization. So how do we plan? How do you think? How do you set your preparation? First, you need to think about what are your goals during this time. So if you're a high-level athlete, it's going to be hard to get better without the best situation possible. So maybe if you can try to hold or to keep your body conditioning, your strength, it's a great point. If you are younger, for example, my team, 12, 13 years old, or master team, they have worked and really improved their strength. And we're going to see some examples. We're going through some examples afterward. Then you have to determine the time available. How long do you have? Because maybe you have a pool, but you can use only one person per line at a time. So you cannot put your 20 people team to practice at the same time. So you have less time. We need to adapt. We need to do a shorter session. How can it still be effective? How can you still improve with that? And then you organize and follow your script to reach our goals. So like you can see that there's no difference from conventional planning. Watching to the Ivan Bautista lecture yesterday, pretty much the same. So we are going to organize it, just have different situations, different materials, different facilities. You adapt your goals to what is possible. So it's really important that you determine your goals, where do you want to get. Once you have that, we can work how to get there. So here, as I was saying, for the Dryland, we're going to work on general situations, on specific based on the core and mobility. So we have to work our core, we have to work our mobility, and it goes to specific body positions, specific movements, and it works for all of the sports that are in FINA. We have the artistic swimming, the swimming, open water, dive, and water polo. For all of those, if you have a strong core, if you have good mobility, you're going to take advantage of that. And now getting more specific, you can use swimming patterns. You can basically do a training session using a band. So here at the photo, it's just it's a joke, but it's basically what you can use. If you have those materials, those in here, as I said before, 2 orange bags, 2 beans bag, it's enough for you to get fit. So now, for the Dryland, for the first part, as I said, the general, we are going through basic exercise. We're working on general strength and aerobic improvement. I listed a few exercises. So here, for example, for legs, we're going through squat, lunge, calf raise, stiff. Okay? All of those, we are used to that, to do that on the gym. on the Dryland and on a training session with all the team together. Then for arms, push-ups, pull-ups, shoulders, biceps, triceps, and then it goes to the orange bag again, to the bean bag. It depends on your strength, on how hard, and then based on what you have. For example, I only have a barbell, a 5 kilos barbell. I need to adapt my set, or if it's too light for me, I do longer set, more reps. If it's too heavy, I adapt, I change my exercise. And then some aerobic improvement exercise. We have jumping jacks, skipping rope, running in place, and the loved burpee. I know everybody loves that, right? So it's based on all of my training sessions. We have some burpees, and I know you're gonna love it. So as I said on the beginning, try to think of which exercise you can use if you're an athlete or if you're a coach. How can you use those on your athletes? How can you adapt? How can you use to get your athletes moving in the smallest place possible? So here's some photos. A guy, a 71 years old guy, he trained with me on an online training during the pandemic, and he really developed. We're going through a video of him doing push-ups, and here a family. Basically, this is a milk box full of sand. Of course, it's too light. So what we do longer sets, or we can mix that triceps exercise with push-ups. So we're going to work harder. So here, we're going through the video. An example, a general exercise, squat and shoulders development. I'm sorry if I'm wrong on the name of the exercise. But as I said, I'm here. I have this, I don't know, 3 square feet place, and I can basically work my whole body in there using the orange bag and a mat. Now we're going to see another example. Oops. There you go. This is the guy I just said. He's 71 years old. In the beginning of the pandemic, when he just started training, he was able to do like 10, 8 push-ups. And those sets were made with the knee on the floor. And now I asked him to do, oh, this is the dog to show it's not a looping video. And I asked him to do a demonstration video, and he did 20. So it shows really good improvement. And there you go. Okay, so just a few examples of how we can work and how we're really going to develop. Now, going through more specific, we have the basics exercise, working core, so basic abs. This one, a suggestion, it's really hard, ab, but extremely specific. And the cats to show you are going through those situations. Okay, so it couldn't be more specific using so little material. We are working on the body position, the catch-up position for starting the stroke, attention on the elbows, opening elbows, and kicking. Okay, so that's a really good exercise. And then you have, for the abdominals, you have isometric. You can work on rotation, doing, for example, the spinning, working on balance. So everything that will make you have more control on your core, it's really welcome. Okay, the more you do that, surely the more control you have. on your swimming pattern, on you prevent injury. Okay, so it's really important to have that done and not really limited. The more you work, the better it will be. Okay, and for shoulder, specifically shoulder movements, we have rotation, adduction and abduction, flexion and extension. It's there are a lot of movements that we have to work for when you talk about shoulder, and some of them goes for the knee, for hips, ankle. So we need to work on that, and you can be sure it will improve when you get back to the pool. You feel some difference. The bigger the range of movement that you apply, the better you are on preventing injury, the easier it will be to apply force, to generate force, generate power on swimming. Okay, so we need really to pay attention for those specific movements. And then we get to even more specific, doing as similar as possible based on the sporting gesture. So we have to use the bend. We're going to see some examples also. We can do the strokes and kicks. We can work on 3 different ways. We can simulate training intensity. So we can get endurance 1, 2, 3, sprints, working on power development. You can simulate specific fatigue. So here I put an example of 8 times 30 seconds on doing pace of a specific second 50 meters based on the 200 free event. So for example, if I want to do 158 on the 200, my second split, I want to do that on 30 seconds. I'm gonna do 30 seconds with the band, pulling, hold in position, high elbow, you catch up, high elbow, and applying the same intensity, the same stroke rate, the same pattern, trying to do the end of the stroke, start here. So it's really important to have that specific gesture and simulate the fatigue. Or I can work on, I know that in the end, the last 25 meters, I will be half dead or almost completely dead. And I know my arms are really tired. I'm going to work on that. Maybe, for example, 4 times, 25 meters, it's gonna be 15 seconds. 4 times, 15 seconds maximum, okay? Low, short rest, anything that can go straight on that. And then you can also simulate specific events. Here I put the example for the IM, for individual medley. 4 times, 1 each stroke, the same time as the event of IM. So if I'm going to train for the 400, it can be one, it's not my case, unfortunately, but for better people, 1 minute for the butterfly, 1 minute, 1 and 10 for the back, 120 for the breast, 1 for the free. Then you can put some rest between them, or if you're better, you can take that and do it all in a row. But it's important that you have the same, again, it links with the event. So every time the second half of each stroke has to be faster. I have to do a stroke, faster stroke rate. So I'm going to simulate, I'm going to do that on my training with the band. So 30, I don't know, for example, 20 strokes for the butterfly, then again more 20, a bit faster. And it goes for all of them. Okay, so it's important to have attention on each and every part of that, right? Then let's go to see some videos. Here for the backstroke, I have the band. I try to keep the body position, and you can add kicking. It gets interesting, right? So we have, I'll put it again while I speak. And here we can we're working our abs, we're working kicks, just like the other one, when you're talking about Dryland. Now we're applying that. Still Dryland, but more specific, we are working on the pulling with the band. Okay. Going to the next one. I know it's not really good, the video on there, but I believe you're able to see. Now we are simulating the butterfly. You can work only on the pull or the full stroke. Watch high elbow. When you start pulling, you go all the way to the end. When you come back, when you have the phase, you try to keep the same pattern. Low arms extended, going with it ahead. And the last one in here. Kicking. How can we work kicking? This is a short band, so I had to hold it here. If it's a bigger one, you can hold it more far. For the breaststroke, it's really interesting, and I do use that all the time. It's really good exercise. And also freestyle kicking. Okay, it's important. In this, specifically for the breaststroke, it's also a drill to pay attention to the kick. When you're swimming, you cannot bring your knee too forward. You have to try to bring your feet towards your hips. And when you do that, you're working exactly on this. Okay. Now moving on. Talking a little bit about tethered swimming. Yeah, I believe most people have done or at least seen that. It gets a bit boring. Okay, so we need to know how to work, how to use that in a way, instead of 4 times 15 minutes doing freestyle. It's not really that interesting, right? So we do sets controlled by strokes, controlled by time. We can do multiple intensities, going from low aerobic to sprint. You can use only kicking, also tethered. You can use underwater, sculling, tethered, or just still. Okay. What's important to pay attention is on the technique, because when you are doing the tethered swimming, because we're not moving forward, we tend to go down. Our hips, our legs tend to go down, and then we start getting tired. We raise our head, and it goes even deeper. Okay, so really attention on head position. Remember to keep looking down. Abdominals, your core working to keep your hips high, to keep your kicking as high as possible in the surface. And I recommend, if you want to focus, the low aerobic, because it's easier to keep your body position. Because if you do a lot on, for example, you go to the endurance 2, endurance 3, you're going to do sets, you're going to get really tired. And it's easier to miss your technique, your swimming pattern. So if you do that a lot, swimming in the wrong way, when you get back to your normal training session, your body, your mind will have worked so much for so long, swimming in a different pattern. It will have learned. It will become it will be difficult to get back to what you used to do. Okay, so read attention when we are doing that. Okay. Kicking can work again. Breaststroke, you can work butterfly kick. Underwater, it's awesome. It's a spectacular training. You push the wall, go underwater kicking, trying to improve. For example, you can do 4 kick, then 8 kicks, 12, 16, 20, You go as much as you can. You work your breathing capacity, but also your power, your resistance power. And also the sculling, as I said, you can do that tethered, and you can do it just stand just still, try to keep your feet out of the floor, and just do it. It's pretty simple. So here I put an example of a training for the tethered swimming. You can start with 10 minutes, 3 minutes freestyle, and 2 other stroke. You can change in the middle as you want, 2 times. Then the main set, or one of the main sets, 8 times 30 seconds sculling, hard. Then 1 minute swimming freestyle or endurance 1, easy. Again, same pattern, attention to the end of the stroke is the most difficult part to be done when you are doing that. And then 30 seconds of other stroke, butterfly, back, or breast on endurance 3. It's a set I like. I already used that even before the pandemic. I already used something. I'm used to do those things. And then you can have the interval, like 30 seconds. You can be passive rest or active rest, doing kicking against the wall or something like that. Or you can just rest and try to do harder on next set. Okay. Then another set, 8 times, 1 minute and a half, 1 free, 1 other stroke. Then you go over endurance 1, and you start every minute and 50. Like it will give you 20 seconds only. It's a short rest, enough for the endurance 1. As a medley swimmer, individual medley swimmer, I'm a fan of that. And basically you'll see that pretty much all of my sets, all my training sets are multiples of 4, because then you can do like 1 each stroke. It makes happy. I believe I say that medley is good for your soul, it's good for your body, it's good for your mind. So everybody swims I am with me, and I like that. So here, the last set, 4 times, 20 seconds kicking against the wall, plus 1 minute and 20, swimming endurance 1. So you do this kicking hard, fast as you can. Then you have 1 minute and 20 to rest, swimming rest, active rest. Then it will give you 20 seconds on passive rest, and start it again. And you can do any stroke you like, any stroke you want. Okay. But again, this is just an example. There are many different, as I said in the beginning, the only thing cannot be limited is our creativity. We need to use that. We need to be able to think of what we need to develop. Here, for example, I'm working a lot on kicking. I'm working on my technique. If I want to develop my sculling, I'm also working on that. So always have in mind your goals, what you want to develop, and then we can see how we are going to do that. So here are 2 examples of tethered swimming. This guy, he's doing a bit fast, hard kicking, a good technique, looking pretty down, pretty low. But even though it's hard, you can see it's hard to go all the way to the end on the stroke. Okay? But see, this is certainly it's not some place that we would consider to train swimming. Okay, so if you have the band, basically any place, almost even your tub, becomes a place to practice swimming. And though for those ones who like it couldn't be better. You cannot leave home, so bring your training session to your home. And going to the other example. This is a good one. Because here we can see the difference. Again, a pool in the backyard. We can see it. This is a beginner. You can easily see that. This is a beginner. Take a look. High head position, low hips, lower legs. This guy, more experienced, able to keep head looking down, hips, and kicking. Okay, so that's something that we really need to pay attention when you're training. And just imagine if you're doing that. If you do this pattern for a long time, when you get back, you'll have some trouble. Okay? And now, working on shorter pull. How can we adapt sets? We can use kicking against the wall, turn away from the wall. So if I have a 10-meter pull, just pushing the wall. If I have a good one, I'll be 6, 7, 8 meters. Turn and do it again. So if I turn away from the wall, if I don't push, I got a few more strokes to be done. I can work on underwater kicking. We can combine sets. Okay, so again, creativity. This is a video showing an example. I pretty much combined all of those in a set. Got pretty fun, I'd say. Okay, in here I have the 25, but if I had only this part, like 8, 9 meters, and the daughter, assuming you're going to have some distractions during the training sessions. Jump. So we work jump, work on power, swimming, working on skull and body position, abs, swimming again, kicking against the wall, kicking resistance, and turning away, ending with sprint. Right? So as I said, it got pretty funny, a fun set to be done. It's interesting. I like using that a lot. That's also something that I use on regular training sessions, jumping in out of the water quickly, many times, as fast as you can during 1 minute. If you have never done that, you should try. You'll see that it can get to endurance 3 or even an anaerobic really easily. Okay. So we have seen now many different ways to do that. And here we have a specific set. This is something that I use with some of my athletes. Sorry, 200 meters. You get out every turn, or get out and jump like I have just done. Then 200 pull, 50 stroke. You go with one arm. This is assuming 12 and a half meters pull, okay? You go one arm, come back the other one. Then you do full lap using both arms. You can use pedal, you cannot use pedal. You can do one pedal and then the other one. You can, again, you can change as you wish. Then 8 times 25 meters, you go sprint, come back easy. You can do underwater kick. You can do IM order, as you want, as according to your goals. Then 300 meters. You do 50 meters freestyle catch up, work on your technique, on this starting phase. Then 50 butterfly, 50 back, breast, and then go on. Then 200 kick, endurance 2, working a little bit on kicking resistance. Then 4 times 100, endurance 1, with 10 seconds kicking on endurance 3 against the wall on each turn. So that will be a lot. You're considering the 12 and a half pull, 7 turns, 70 seconds kicking hard. So that's really heavy set for kicking. And then in the end, 200, you go sculling, come back easy. Okay, there you have it, almost 2,000 meters training session, a lot of kick, which basically is the base for any swimming. So it's an example of how we can develop. You can be sure that if you're not used to do that, it will go for your condition and development, not only maintaining. Okay. Then talking a little bit about online training. I believe almost everybody had to go through that. So we had classes and training sessions guided, a few programs that you can use. The Zoom, we are going now. We have Google Meetings, we have other options. Myself, I have used basically the Zoom. I really adapted well on that. And some advantages. We can go with small groups, we can go with big groups. On the same screen, you can have up to 25 people, 25 screens you see. So you plus 24, you can see them, you can give them real-time feedback. Because when it started the pandemic, we didn't know how long it would be. I made them the Dryland training sessions. They were doing at home and send me videos. Then I watched that, send the feedback, and they tried to correct it for the next session. If you are doing the online training, you just see and correct it straight away. So it's basically how it happens on a normal training session. So it's good, and each one can be at their place. You don't need to be anywhere specific. You can be at a beach. You can be at a club. You can be home. You can be wherever. As I showed, you can be between your wall and your bed on a 3 square meter place. It will be able to do. Okay, I'm going to show you a video now. That was interesting. I hope you can hear it. And this is how we are doing. This is a 1 minute video of one of their sessions. So that's the famous burpee. For example, this one, doing beside the bed and the wall, on the room, again here, just beside the bed. Another one, on the yard, on the backyard, so it can be whatever you want. You can adapt, it's easy to adjust. And believe it or not, they really developed, they were really stronger in the end of that. And when we came back, we had some really good improvement on their marks. So, some points of attention. Even though you are struggling to get better, keep safe. First point, keep safe. Don't try to do anything different if you're not under supervision. Be aware that doing it on your own, even though you have somebody watching you, it's not the same thing of supporting you, helping you, guiding to the correct position. Okay, so always follow professional instructions. Don't get to any app of exercise or anything that can suggest training suggested by your friend that can push you over the limits, that can take you to any injury. It's not, you don't really need that. Okay, so and respect your limits. It's really important. You need to have that also all the time. We want to get better, we want to improve, but we need to respect our limits. Now, almost heading to the end, what happened? Those training sessions helped me to hold the team together. When we started the pandemic, I had my team with 23 guys, 23 athletes from 11 to 14 years old. And I only missed one of those during all this period, like 6 months away from the pool. So I believe it's a fantastic result. The strength, as I said, we had a huge development. As, one example is that guy, now he's 72, but he was 71 years old, doing sets of 12 push-ups, not touching knee on the floor. And great results, marks, timing. When we came back, we didn't have the ideal situation, so we were not able to do 2 hours a day training in the pool. We're not able to swim 6 times a week, so we were used to 12 hours training in the water before. When he came back, it was basically 5 to 6 hours. And still, a guy 13 years old, he lowered his mark from 117 to 108, which would place him like between the 16 and the nationals. And a girl from 119 to 116 on the 100 breast, same age, with a mark to get her to a top 3, top 5 on the nationals also. So we were really able to get some good results, some unexpected results. And again, what happened? We're not able to evaluate all of them. For example, my master team, we were not able to work on not even that much. So like they were doing less 45 minutes and considering healthy, safety at first place. We didn't think responsible to go on the competition situations. Those marks that I just said were not on a competition. It was on a meeting here on the club, only our athletes. There was nobody from outside. And we didn't evaluate everybody. And still, not all of them have improved. I have an example, a 14-year-old girl. She was really stronger. It was obvious. We could see that. We could feel that during training, but she was not able to get better. So we have different responses. She missed the water training more than the other ones. But it's normal. It's how it goes. Each one responds on different ways. Now, when he just got back from vacation, the guy I said that improved 9 seconds. He's feeling really heavy, struggling to swim. So like different response again. He was perfect last year. Now struggling. So not everything will work the same to everybody, and not even to the same person. It will be the same for in every time you try. Okay. And now what we'll keep? The home training sessions, surely. We'll do I have some Dryland practice for them to do at home. It can be done by themselves, or it will be done also on a few online. For example, now we cannot use the club to do the Dryland. They just have to go swim, shorter period again. We came to a not a lockdown, but a really restricted phase. And they have like short time on the pool and go back home. So we're getting back to the online session. And then from extra session, also even Dryland and pool. Because now that we know how to use that, how to use shorter pool, we can use the backyard to complement, to improve something else. If I want to work kicking, it's for somebody that has not really good kick. Instead of doing that during the limited time that I have on the club, I'm sending him home to do that by himself and work on specific points of improvement. Okay, and now to end before questions, I have special thanks for everybody, all of you that are here invest in your Sunday, for all the audience, and congratulations to all the UANA staff. Chris, Michael, following me here, you're fantastic on all of this process. the Congress is really amazing to get as many people as you have made, as you have managed here. So thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. And I hope you have used this time. I hope we were able to bring something else. Now I have some contacts of mine, and I'll bring it to Michael to do some closure and bring questions.
Chris, we've got a couple of, Thiago, we got a couple of really good questions here for you. And the first question is from Arturo. He'd like to know what's the maximum time that you suggest for these sessions? Frequency, how often, and then the length of time. And I think another part of that might be for the different ages of swimmers that you have.
I also have a 1 hour session dryland on average, but that including the warm up, like 5 to 10 minutes of stretching and some low intensity exercise, the mobility exercise, then going to the main part and cool down about also 5 minutes. But because it's pretty much the time that we use to have that on the club. And I believe it's the time that most of athletes use that, except from the elite athletes, right? But 1 hour, 3 times a week, depending on the age. But for example, now on that time during the pandemic, I didn't have a pool to do that, anything. So I was working every day from Monday to Friday, 1 hour, and then I was changing training sessions. One day we were focusing on aerobic, the other day focusing on strength. It's pretty much as we do that on regular sessions.
Great. So here's one that I think everybody's kind of struggling with. You know, it's been, what, 10 months, almost a year. And we've been looking at our computers, our schools, Dryland, everything. We're not together. And how do you keep the motivation up? Do you have suggestions for that? You know, a lot of people are, you know, what do we call it? Zoom burnout.
Yeah, sure.
Can't look at it anymore.
One thing that we have done was create a ranking for evaluate develop on squats, push-ups, how many you can do that, you know, in 1 minute, some different abs. So like you pick a few exercises that it's easier to measure, to evaluate for the plank, like for abdominal. How long can you do that? So we create rankings, different categories with different age groups, comparing them, a ranking with all of them to see where they fit. So it's difficult. We were struggling also to keep the motivation, but that was a tool that really worked. Of course, it's not specific. It's not the best when you think about the training, the swimming, but it's something to keep them working, to keep them moving, and keep them interested on training. Another thing that worked really well was, as we do on the normal periodization, the week of resting. Like I was using 4 to 5 weeks working harder, then 1 week stretch, mind. Another thing that was really nice was to work on specific intensities on different exercises during the online session. For example, we're going to go through 4 minutes endurance 1 exercise. You can choose. You can do jumping jack, you can skip, you can do skipping rope, you can do anything. You can run in the place, then changing every 30 seconds, you change that. You go through 4 minutes on endurance 1. Then 3 times 1 minute on endurance 2. You need to go 20 seconds on burpee, easy, not so fast, not so hard. Then 40 seconds, you choose you choose whatever you want, using the same rest as you used on the water. then 4 times 30 seconds on endurance 3, and 4 times 15-second sprint. So like you really simulate, you bring the swimming training to your dryland.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, here's a question from Omari. I was fascinated that you did so much with so little. Bag of oranges, beans, and a mat in a 3x, tiny little area. If you don't have any equipment, what do you do?
Well, it's impossible for you not to have anything at all, because as you just saw it, I had a bean, 1 kilo bean. Oh, it's too light. Yeah, it is, but if you do 1 minute, four times, combined with some other exercise, combined with some pull-ups, you're going to work that. So if you have a rice on the bag, it's 5 kilos. If you have a gallon of water, as Ivan Bautista brought yesterday, her athlete, high level, Olympic level athlete, training with the water gallon. So anything, you grab a chair and bring it up, grab your kid and bring it up. So anything that has a minimum weight will be able. Of course, again, it might not be the ideal situation, but it's the best we can do.
Boy, we got a lot of questions. They're coming in really fast, so I'm going to try and get to a couple.
Great,
Hey,
great, awesome.
You're a master swimmer now, at that point in your career. Or do you have any special advice for masters, or are there any online resources where they can go for more help?
I had pretty much the same training sessions with a few adaptations. I was working with my federation team, the club team, and the master team. I use more or less the same session, but of course, then when you go to the master, oh, my shoulder hurts, so keep it low. Or my knees is not really good, so don't go too low on the squat. My back, so let's work harder on the plank. So I adapt, but I do that also on the training session in the water. I don't change that much. Because one thing that I realized on the master team that people like training with me is that I don't treat them like masters. I treat them like athletes. Of course, we need to adjust, but they are athletes. They are there to get better, even though they didn't have experience. Even though they don't have a past on swimming, they want to get better. Everybody wants to get better, want to get faster, stronger. So within their limitations, we just do the same.
That's great advice. Treat everybody like an athlete and adjust. That's awesome.
Nice.
How about emotional support for athletes? This has been hard on everybody, and you said that right at the beginning. And then we had the question, we're kind of getting a little worn out with computers, and you must have people come in there and they just are really beat up. What do you do?
A few things that worked. I have talked to each one of them a few times. In the beginning of the year, before the pandemic, I sat with each one of them and we set marks, goals for the end of the year. And then during the pandemic, I sat a few times, I sat with these again a few times and talk and discuss. Do you think you can reach the same? Do you still have the same goal? Do you want to adjust that? How do you feel now? Do you feel stronger? Is that available? Do you think that will be able to hold you to your starting goal? So this kind of talk was really important. And then trying to keep them interested with the videos, technique videos, some chats, bringing them to talk about some events. I showed them some videos on YouTube. For example, guys, everybody, I want you to watch the 100 butterfly on Rio Olympics. Take a look at those 3 monsters swimming and they hit the wall together. Watch them swimming. Each one has a different pattern. And they got the same mark. So like talking about swimming, bring it then, like try to the brainstorm with swimming things. And I believe that's pretty much motivating For those who like swimming, also, of course. If you don't like it, then you just quit.
Excellent. So, hey, do you involve the parents in there? It seems like you.
Yeah, surely. It's extremely important. We have done not only my team, but all the club team, like we are about 50 people, 50 athletes. There was the first meeting we had was with a nutritionist and to discuss the situation. So we have more than 90% of the team in the meeting. We set the situation. We talk about how it would be, how we should proceed, and then the person talking about nutrition, how they could do. Then 2 weeks later, we had another one with a coach, a mind coach, to discuss other things, to discuss the situation again, but someone specialist on that. Then a month later, we had another lecture, a get together with 4 athletes that have been on a high level from the club. Like we brought them. One of them now is going for the Olympic place, trying to the Olympic marks. So like we're again trying to move the flow of swimming, parents together. Every meeting that we used to have, the parents were invited and told to be present. So the more you have parents together, the better it will be, the easier it will be. Because sometimes the athlete goes down and tries things about giving up. If you have the parents, if you can talk to parents, it's easier to have them, to bring them back.
Excellent, excellent. We've got more questions than we have time to answer, and I think we'll get to those questions offline. But one more real quick one here. Do you do any running, either in the pool or running, through the streets, the roads?
You mean me, myself, or with my athletes?
How about the athletes?
I use that pretty much on the base training, on the first phase, on general preparation. I like that because usually they come back from vacations. They didn't learn yet how to. They are too young. They didn't learn the importance of keeping active during the vacation. So I use that as an aerobic complement, because if I go through the volume of training aerobic in the pool, as much as I would like to get them fit again, it might get them to injure their shoulders because they're coming from loads of exercise. So I like to use running, but combined. If you have some stairs, you mix that with some push-ups during the running set. Not only, okay, guys, go to the street, run for half an hour and come back. That's not that. I don't do that.
Okay. Very good. We're going to have to wrap up here. So first of all, thank you. There was some incredible information in there, and I hope everybody else got as much out of it as I did. That was fascinating. Second, for everybody in the audience, when the evaluations come through, I hope you'll give 5 stars to the entire convention and the organizing staff, and 5 stars to Thiago there for that wonderful presentation.
Hope so.
It was just great. Remember that everything will be posted on the UANA YouTube channel, and I think several of the presentations will be posted elsewhere on websites.
Nice.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here. I think there's another presentation to get to shortly. Have a great season, and we'll be back, and we'll all be stronger together. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael.